A very good afternoon to you and welcome back to Ilumba Television. My name is Angel Lady and I'm trusting that you are safe and of course you are conscious of the virus that's been ravaging the world. Well, today we've got yet another interesting gist, just like we always do. We tell you what's happening, what's going on, and this one is very interesting. Yes, a couple of days back, news broke that Nigerian farmers were attacked in Zabamari and that's in the court north. And then people were saying, oh, 43 were killed, no, 45. And then UN came up and said 110. And we're thinking, what exactly is the number that lost their lives there? Who are the victims? How many are they? Well, we're not sure. And just while we're wondering and thinking about that, ah, special assistant to the governor came up and to the president came up and said, did they get clearance from the military before they entered the farmland? Boom! The internet went agog. Nigerians were furious. They were angry. They said, what do you mean? Like, we need permission right now to go to our farms? Do you understand what you're saying? And all of that. Well, that's the news. And we want to show you some response from Nigerians concerning that. So quickly share the screen for you to see for yourself how Nigerians did blast on that comment or that report, and that's of course it wasn't boiling down well at all. So let's look at it for ourselves. Okay, so in a moment you'll be seeing those comments for yourselves. Here we have Garba who just told BBC that 110 massacred farmers in Borno did not get military clearance before going to the farm to work. He said they exposed themselves to the terrorists. The federal government of Nigeria now blames the victims of terrorism for the actions of terrorists. Okay, that's one comment coming from our fave online doctor. Okay, so you'll be seeing it in a moment for yourself. I just need to get through to it. Okay, so more of those comments coming in blasting the special assistant for that response. We have this one. Tomorrow is December and we shouldn't let Garba Shehu distract us from hashtag NSAS protesters. Nicholas Mba court appearance on Wednesday, it's December 2nd at Yaba Magistrate Court. Court 4. After a month in Karikiri, he was remanded by Magistrate A.O.A. Salawu on the request of Nigerian police. These are some of the comments that did come right after that report. And we have this one from Sahara Reporter saying that farmers killed by Boko Haram get military clearance before resuming farming activities. Garba Shehu asked during BBC interview. That's yet another one from Sahara Reporters. So let's look at this one. This one is from Rena Omokri. He says how Garba Shehu exposed the Buhari administration's lies on Boko Haram. I quickly would love you to see that for yourself. You may not be hearing this right now, but you shall be able to hear it in a moment. I want you to get the audio and of course the video as well. Just one moment and we'll be up and running on that. And if you just joined us, this is Elumba Television, and my name is Angel Lidi. Remember that you can follow Elumba TV on Instagram. You can also like our Facebook page, and of course, do subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll be the first to get all of this news when it comes. Yes, every day we come around here to clock to tell you what's happening, what's trending, what are people talking about, what's making news, and you'll be the first to get notified whenever we come up. So you should just do that wonderful thing, which is subscribing and hitting the notification, turn it on, okay, so that you can get the gist. Like for today, we've got Nigerians blast in Garba Shehu on the response that he gave concerning the Boko Haram farmers that were killed in their own farms. And he came up to say, did they get military clearance? And people are saying, what do you mean? What are you saying? Like, do people really need to get military clearance to go to the farms? Or you are justifying the fact that these people were killed? You know, it's sort of indirectly saying, well, they called for it and they got served. What are you saying? What are you thinking? Well, Nigerians can keep calm at all. They can't hold it down. Like, how dare you come to tell us this? And they went all out to blast Garba Shehu. And like I told you, that we'll be sharing that video with you. So here we've got the video, so you can see for yourself the response right here from Reno Omokri. What he's saying. In a moment, it will be on your screen. Okay, so we got it. I told you.
Massacre, and I pray that peace returns to Borno State in the shortest possible time. Now, going to the matter at hand, the president's spokesman, Garba Shehu, was on the BBC and he said that the farmers who were killed at Zabamari had no business being there because that area is Boko Haram zone and that they did not have clearance from the military to be there. Now, you see, I've always maintained that no matter how far and fast falsehood travels, it will eventually be overtaken by truth. And what do I mean? December 24, 2019, and you can research this by yourself, don't take my word for it. The Nigerian army released a statement and said no inch of Nigerian territory is controlled by Boko Haram. Last year at the United Nations, Nigeria made the same boast. General Buhari said it. He said that no inch of Nigerian territory is held by Boko Haram. So if no inch of Nigerian territory is held by Boko Haram, then what does Garba Shehu mean that that area is Boko Haram zone? What does Garba Shehu mean that those farmers needed permission and they had no permission to be in their farms? And that's to show you that this government has lied to you, that Boko Haram does not hold any inch of territory. Obviously, you know, the governor of Borno State has survived multiple attacks on him. You know, he's almost lost his life. And they're saying that no inch of territory is being held by Boko Haram. It's time for us to tell ourselves the truth. The president is from the north. The Chief Justice of Nigeria is from the north. The Senate President is from the north. The Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff is from the north. The Minister of Defense from the north. The NSA from the north. The head of the DSS, DMI, DIA, NCS, NIS, NPS, all from the north. You have unprecedented northern control of the armed forces and the government. Here, this is happening. It's to show you that this government has failed. And until they realize and accept that, these things will keep on occurring. My name is Ronald Mokri, and I pray that peace returns to Nigeria. Thank you for listening. God bless you.
Alright, you heard for yourself right there. Rena Omakri on Garba Shehu's report and his feedback, and we are praying that peace is restored. Of course, people are not taking it lightly, and his response did spark up some fire. It did push Nigerians like, what's going on? We see here from Ghost Alamin, the driver of this Dangote trailer, and his second were also taken hostage by Boko Haram. Garba Shehu should also ask Dangote if he got security clearance to risk his driver's life. Of course, that's how Nigerians react to that one. And this is coming from Izu #Ensas. He says, and later on in Nigeria's history, half-baked people like Lai Mohammed, Bashir Ahmed, Tolu Ogunleshi, Garba Muhammad, Femi Adesina, Loretta Onoche, Adamu Garba, and co. will be added to the list of our heroes past, like the names of Gowon, Abacha, and the rest. Abi? Well, that's a question, and only him can answer that. Okay, people, this is a much we can go on that story concerning Garba Shehu, and here's a response concerning the rice farmers that were killed in their own farm. He asked for their clearance, if they did get clearance before they went to the you and I know that wouldn't go down well with Nigerians. Okay, so over to the news for today. We'll tell you what's happening, what's trending, what are people talking about, what's the latest happening right now in Nigeria, and of course in the diaspora. Let's quickly look at the story that says ECOWAS court orders Republic of Cape Verde to replace detained Venezuelan under permanent home detention. The details. The ECOWAS Court of Justice on Tuesday, 2nd December 2020, ordered the Republic of Cape Verde to place detained Venezuelan Mr. Alex Saad Moran under permanent home detention and the supervision of its national judiciary authorities. Delivering a ruling in a suit filed by the applicant's a three-judge panel of the court said that this will guarantee him better conditions of accommodation, access to medical treatment, and visits compatible with his personal situation at the applicant's own expense. In the ruling, which was delivered by the judge rapporteur, Honorable Justice Januaria Moreira Costa, the court also ordered that the applicant should not be extradited until a decision has been made on the merits of the substantive case before the court. However, the panel presided over by Honorable Justice Edward Amoakau Asante dismissed orders sought by the applicant and ordered that the parties be notified of the ruling. Institute ECW slash CCJ slash APP 4320 filed through his counsel, Mr. Femi Falana, the applicant asked for interim measures to prevent the violation of his human rights, mainly the rights to liberty and security, as well as the right not to be subjected to torture or cruel and inhuman treatment while in detention and awaiting extradition to the United States of America at the request of the U.S. government. The applicant averred that on June 12, 2020 at 8:09 p.m., the plane on which the applicant was traveling while on a special mission made a stopover in the Republic of Cape Verde for refueling. He further averred that about an hour later, that's about 9:30 p.m., he was detained for the purpose of extradition by the authorities of Cape Verde in response to an international arrest warrant that was allegedly circulated by Interpol on the basis of a red alert against him, issued at the request of the United States. The red alert, he said, that as at the time of his arrest, neither the copy of the red alert nor the arrest warrant against him were presented to him. He further claimed that on April 9, 2018, the applicant was appointed as special envoy of the government of Venezuela, which vested in him the responsibility of acquiring humanitarian resources of great need in Venezuela. In this context and within the scope of his mandate as special envoy, Venezuela on April 1, 2020 entrusted the applicant with a mission of negotiating with organizations in Iran to obtain the necessary resources for Venezuela. He maintained that since July 16, 2020, he has filed several appeals against the extradition request presented by the U.S. based on the fact that he cannot be extradited on account of his immunity and inviolability, describing it as purely political. In filing before the court, he said that the appeals were denied by Cape Verde's court, which have ruled to authorize his extradition to the U.S. and that his health has deteriorated while in detention with an imminent risk of irreversible damage before the conclusion of the case. The applicant therefore requested that until the decision on substances is delivered, the court should order the following interim measures: that the defendant suspend the extradition procedure against the applicant, which was initiated at the request of the United States, and release him under the supervision and responsibility of the ambassador of the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela, accredited to the Republic of Cape Verde. He also claimed that he is an oncological patient undergoing treatment and that since his arrest, he requested medical visit and periodic examination to certify his health status, but was denied access to adequate medical facilities, among others. In defense, the defendant confirmed that the applicant's detention on 12 June 2020 at the airport on the island of South occurred in response to a request from the American government, more especially by the Florida District Court, due to a series of crimes allegedly committed by the applicant in American territory. He stated that the detention was carried out based on the general principle of international judicial cooperation in criminal matters, in strict compliance with the provision of Arts 3 and 4 of Acts No. 6, subsections 8, 2011 of 29 August, and that it is not in violation of Cape Verdean law or any international agreement, treaty, or convention to which the country is a party. The defendant concluded that the applicant does not enjoy the immunity claimed, as he does not meet the requirements of a special envoy for the purpose of diplomatic immunity enshrined in the 1969 United Nations Convention on Special Missions. Consequently, it argued that his invalidates he argued that this invalidates the basis for challenging the decision of the Cape Verdean judicial authorities. The defendant concluded by asking the court to consider that the requirements for admissibility of the application have not been met, in particular because the internal remedies have not yet been exhausted, stating that under the circumstances should the interim measures be ordered. Honorable Justice Tukbatoki was also on the panel. And we go on to the next story. And this one is saying job creation will cover agriculture, arts, entertainment, mining, information technology. Let's read the details. President Muhammadu Buhari Thursday in Abuja reiterated his commitment to creating more jobs with particular focus on enabling the private sector, targeting more youthful population by streamlining priority on agriculture, arts, entertainment, mining, and information technology. Speaking at a presidential parley with the participants of Senior Executive Course 42 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies at the State House, the president said the focus of the group's research for the year population growth and human capital development challenges and opportunities was most appropriate in timing, and the recommendations will be fully considered. I have no doubt that you have evaluated the theme given to you. I can assure you that many of your recommendations will be considered to further enhance human capital development in the country. Let me reiterate that our administration is committed to diligently pursuing investments in people, especially in our youth, as well as most vulnerable and poorest members of society. We will study and explore the creative and innovative recommendations in your report and direct implementations as soon as possible. The president told participants of Senior Executive Course 42 that his administration had made tremendous efforts at diversifying the economy and reducing heavy dependence on oil sector for government revenues and foreign exchange earnings. Adding, we are refocusing the economy on agriculture, agro-processing, arts, entertainment, mining, manufacturing, information technology, and labor-intensive industries to generate millions of jobs for our teeming youths and able-bodied Nigerians while gradually integrating the economy into the global economy. This administration developed the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan for 2017 to 2020, which focused on economic diversification and stabilization, making the business environment more competitive as well as achieving macroeconomic stability by means of fiscal stimulus and improving the balance of external trades. We focused the plan on key sectors such as energy, agriculture, manufacturing, infrastructure, especially railroads, broadband networks. We have made considerable progress in food production, especially in rice. We will continue to encourage private capital for infrastructural development through public-private partnerships. President Buhari noted that efforts had been made in putting in place various programs to equip Nigerians, particularly the youth, with requisite skills for employment, entrepreneurship, and wealth creation, which include the Presidential Youth Empowerment Scheme, NPOWER Scheme, Youth Entrepreneurship Support Program, Graduate Internship Scheme, and Youth Enterprise with Innovation in Nigeria program. The president said the federal government had taken steps to harmonize all operations related to technical and vocational skills development by all ministries, departments, and agencies, culminating in a new partnership between the Industrial Training Fund and Nigeria Employers Consultative Association under a special initiative called the Technical Skills Development Project. In addition, government is implementing the Special Public Works Program to provide employment opportunities to 774,000 youths across the 774 local government areas of Nigeria. We have also recently introduced 75 billion naira Nigeria Youth Investment Fund, of which 25 billion naira have been provided in 2021 budget. All of these are consistent with our policy of positioning the youth for strategic leadership in different fields of endeavor. President Buhari commended management and members of faculty of the National Institute for getting participants of Senior Executive Course 42 to focus on a theme and present a report as experts on the subject matter. In his remarks, the Director General Chief Executive Officer of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, Professor Habu Galadima, thanked the President for providing strategic and purposeful leadership for the country in spite of daunting challenges, appreciating the administration for ably handling the COVID-19 pandemic. The Director General noted that the participants for Senior Executive Course 42 2020 were properly guided by daily briefs and guardians of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. We thank you for enormous investments in the people of this country through highly commendable programs designed to make Nigerians out of poverty. One can only imagine the magnitude of the outcomes of these investments were not made, he added. We move on to the next story, and this one is Obo's $25 billion fraud allegation. Reps summon Emefiele / CBN, MTN, Stanbic IBTC, and Standard Banks. The House Committee on Public Petitions has summoned the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, telecommunication giants MTN, Standard IBTC Bank, and Standard Chartered Bank to defend the allegation/petition by the chairman of the George Ubo Whistleblower Network, Dr. George Ubo. This was contained in a letter issued by the committee chairman on the National Assembly House Committee on Public Petitions dated 27 November 2020. The letter tagged petition number 236 of 2020 was titled Petition by George Ubo against MTN, Stanbic IBTC Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, in collaboration with Central Bank of Nigeria, on alleged depletion of Nigeria's external reserves to the tune of $25 billion and request for them to show proof of payment of $25 to TSA. The summons / hearing notice addressed to George Ubo Whistleblower Network and media made available to Elimba News read in part. Whereas the above-named petition is now pending before this committee and the particulars of this petition aforesaid are already within your knowledge, and whereas the petition has been assigned to be held by the committee for determination, you are hereby required to note sections 88 and 89 of our Constitution as amended and appear in person before this committee on Wednesday night, day of December 2020 at 2 p.m. or so soon as the committee shall direct. It has take notice that if you do not attend the hearing as required, the case may be heard or determined in your absence. The allegation petition stemmed from irregular issuances of certificates of capital importation, CC1, in gross violation of Foreign Exchange Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provisions Act number 17 of 1995 and CBN Foreign Exchange Manual. And now we go to the next one. FEC approves 120.7 billion naira for irrigation and road projects. The Federal Executive Council, FEC, presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, yesterday approved 120.7 billion naira to facilitate sundry projects and purchases for effective service delivery. Of the amounts, 117.4 billion is for construction and rehabilitation of roads and bridges across the Federation. Briefing State House correspondents at the end of the meeting in Abuja, Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola said the money would facilitate rehabilitation of the 26-kilometer Kano-Zazare Dara May Adua Road in Kano, Jiga, Katsina states, cost at 8.7 billion naira. Lokba Road in Anambra and Enugu is gulping 1.7 billion naira. He said the amount would also cover other rehabilitation and construction works in other parts of the country. Fashola said FEC equally approved the procurement of a core banking application software for the use of the Federal Mortgage Bank in the sum of 487.3 million by Messrs Fintax. He explained that the application is to enable institutions provide frontline services that other banks now provide across its branches nationwide. Unlike other financial institutions, Fashola said the bank is still unable to send automated notices, statements, and other services to National Housing Fund contributors. The meeting also okayed 768.7 million for vehicles for newly promoted officers of the Nigerian Immigration Service (NIS). It further awarded 2.1 billion naira contract to Julius Berger for the furnishing of the NIS Technology Building, which houses the Services Data Communication Command and Control Center. Also briefing newsmen on that coordination of the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, Minister of Interior, Ralph Aregbeshala, said the 44 operational vehicles are to enhance the efficiency of the offices, including controllers, assistant controllers general, deputy controller general, as well as for patrol duties. Aregbeshala, who was joined by the Minister of Special Duties, George Akume, as well as Minister of State for Science and Technology, Mohammed Abdullahi, disclosed that fake names NES span Kara and Wanla Motors Nigeria Limited as beneficiaries of the contract. He said council also approved the contract for the furnishing of the technology building at the sum of 2 billion naira. Minister of Water Resources Suleiman Adamu recalled that council had okayed the reversal of the total cost of the main project and got approval to extend the services of the consultants for another 12 months. And we move over to the next story. Here we have Chinese step efforts to influence Biden team, US official. Chinese agents have stepped up their efforts to influence President-elect Joe Biden's incoming administration, a US intelligence official has said. William Evanina from the U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence said the Chinese were also focusing on people close to Mr. Biden's team. Mr. Evanina said it was an influence campaign on steroids. Separately, a Justice Department official said more than 1,000 suspected Chinese agents had fled the U.S. In Wednesday's virtual discussion at the Aspen Institute think tank, Mr. Evanina, chief of the Director of National Intelligence Counterintelligence Branch, said China had been attempting to meddle in the U.S. efforts to develop a coronavirus vaccine and recent American elections. He continued, "We've also seen an uptick, which was planned, and we predicted that China would now re-vector their influence campaigns to the new Biden administration." And when I say that malign foreign influence, that diplomatic influence clause on steroids, we're starting to see that play across the country to not only the folks starting in the new administration, but to those who are around those folks in the new administration. So that's one area we're going to be very keen on making sure the new administration understands that influence, what it looks like, what it tastes like, and what it feels like when you see it. Both Mr. Biden and President Donald Trump traded bitter accusations during the recent White House campaign of being influenced by Beijing. Mr. Trump focused on business dealings bought by his rival's son, Hunter Biden, in China, while the Democratic candidate highlighted Mr. Trump's Chinese bank account. What was Hunter Biden doing in Ukraine and China? During the same think tank discussion on Wednesday, John Demers, chief of the Justice Department's National Security Division, said hundreds of Chinese researchers with ties to their country's military had been identified by FBI investigators over the summer. Mr. Demers said the inquiry began when U.S. authorities arrested 5 or 6 Chinese researchers who had hidden their affiliation with the People's Liberation Army, PLA. Neither the U.S. nor China wants us. Those 5 or 6 arrests were just the tip of the iceberg, and honestly, the size of the iceberg was one that I don't know that we or other folks realize how large it was, he said. He told the discussion that after the FBI conducted dozens of interviews with other individuals, more than 1,000 PLA-affiliated Chinese researchers left the country. Mr. Demers said only the Chinese have the resources and ability and will to conduct such alleged political and economic espionage and other malign activities. He told the discussion that these researchers were in addition to a group of 1,000 Chinese students and researchers whose visas were revoked by the US back in September. The US State Department said back then it would only welcome Chinese students who did not further the Chinese Communist Party's goals or for military dominance. In July, the State Department also closed China's consulate in Houston, Texas, accusing Beijing of stealing intellectual property. Beijing hit back by accusing the US of racial discrimination, but Mr. Demers denied on Wednesday that the American authorities were racially profiling Chinese students. Sino-US relations have hit rock bottom after outgoing President Trump's dispute with Beijing over issues ranging from trade to Hong Kong to the pandemic, BBC. We have arrested suspected killers of under monarch Oba Israel Adeosi Amotekun. Let's read the details. The Ondo State Security Agency network, the Amotekun, on Wednesday said it had arrested some persons in connection with the killing of the Olofin of Ifon, Oba Israel Adeosi. Oba Adeosi was shot dead by gunmen at Elegbeka on the Akure-Awo Benin Expressway in Oshe local government area of the state last Thursday. The monarch was said to be returning from Akure where he attended a meeting when he ran into the bandits. The state commander of Amotekun Chief at Daytunji Adeleye announced the arrest of the suspects while speaking to journalists in Akure. He, however, did not disclose the identities and numbers of the suspects. According to the Amotekun boss, the suspects were arrested by the men of the outfit who combed the forest after the incident. He said 3 kidnapped victims were also rescued by his men during the operation. Adeleye stated, "We combed the forest in Elegbeka and we are able to arrest some suspects and they are undergoing interrogation. We rescued 3 victims from the Elegbeka forest on the same night that the traditional ruler of Ifon was killed. On the recent kidnap in the state, our men in collaboration with the conventional security agencies located hunters, vigilantes and the OPC went into the forest and were able to make some arrests, and those arrested are undergoing various levels of interrogation. What we observed in the last 2 weeks is a downward trend in criminal activities within the state. This is why the Amotekun Corps decided to change tactics so that we can sustain the relative peace in the state. We have commenced what we tagged Operation Cleanup in the state. This is to take the war against criminality to every corner of the state rather than wait for the criminals to come out." Adeleye also disclosed that the agency had arrested no fewer than 15 persons for various criminal activities in the state after it launched the Operation Clean Up as part of efforts to flush out bandits from the state. He explained that the suspects were arrested at various locations across the state, adding that men of the security outfit had been deployed in flashpoints across the state. He said, "We visited some of the dark spots between midnight and 4 a.m. We were able to arrest about 15 of those criminals where they were committing the criminal acts. We arrested about 15 suspects during the Operation Cleanup that we commenced yesterday. Most of these criminals will be turned over to the conventional security agencies for prosecution where necessary." He added that men of the Amotekun Corps in the state had redoubled their efforts in the deployment of personnel, surveillance, and stop and search operations in the territory. We move on to the next story. Bill seeking to make discos liable for infrastructure provided by consumer scale second reading. The era where power consumption provides nearly 30% of power infrastructures but are appropriated by power distribution companies, discos, and are subsequently billed without recourse to sacrifice made may soon be over if a bill that scales second reading at the House of Reps are anything to go by. House of Representatives Element.com gathered has commenced the process of ending this practice with an amendment proposal to the Power Reform Act. The bill scales second reading on Tuesday. Sponsor of the bill, Honorable Ben Ibakba from a Delta, who described it as pro-people move, argued that, like every other private entities, discos should not be allowed to make people provide equipment and yet pay electricity bills, according to the lawmaker. What the bill seeks to achieve was to make provisions that where citizens offer to fix a collapsed equipment or provide one, the concerned discos should be made to pay back the funds spent within 30 days, or alternatively, provide power credit to the person until the value of the amount spent is exhausted. He said in such instances, the concerned citizens can approach the discos within his jurisdiction and negotiate the terms of such engagements. Presently, the discos are privately owned, yet the citizens are buying equipment for them. They buy transformers, poles, wires, and installation accessories. It shouldn't be the responsibility of citizens to buy them equipment, after which they still pay bills. Whatever you put into the grid belongs to the grid, and if that is going to be so, you have to be paid back for the equipment, Igbakwe stated. Fielding questions on government's continuous funding intervention in the power sector. Even with the privatization, the lawmaker said the discos have not lived up to expectations. Government should stop pumping funds into the power sector as it is now. It is good to privatize, but they should be given to capable hands. And finally, we have a former director in Bauchi remanded in prison custody for fraud. Baba Abubakar Suleiman, a former Director General of the Bauchi State Geographic and Information System, BAGIS, has been remanded in prison for obtaining money under false pretense, commonly referred to as 419 in Nigeria. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) is arraigning the former director in the court with the case number BA/52/2020. Arraigning the accused person, Baba Suleiman and Yusuf Abubakar, before Justice Muhammad Abubakar Sambo of the State High Court Number 3. On Tuesday in Bauchi, the EFCC detective Barnabas Okpapi said they were arraigned on a 7-count charge contrary to sections 362, 363, 366, and 368 of the Penal Code. Barnabas said EFCC received a petition against Suleiman on allegation of forgery, using of forged documents, and obtaining money under false pretense, adding that after investigation, the matter a case was established linking the defendants with the alleged offenses. The detective said that Kamal Ibrahim Sabo, another complainant, alleged that the accused diverted his land, which was allocated to him by the Bauchi state government, to personal use and sold it. He said that in November 2019, Abubakar made a false document containing an agreement between himself and Kamal, adding that the document is still in his possession, with application of withdrawal of interest in respect of property number BA 40554, dated 28 November 2019. He alleged that Suleiman had committed the illegal act to obtain the sum of 15.5 million naira under false pretense for the purchase of a plot of land in the name of Alhaji Kamal Ibrahim Sabo, an offense contrary to Section 13 and Section 1B of the Advance Fee Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Matters Act 2006, punishable under Section 1, subsection C, and Section 1(3) of the same Act. When the case was mentioned, the two accused persons pleaded not guilty to the offense. Counsel to the accused, Barrister Matthias Suwa, filed for bail application for the accused. The presiding judge, Justice Sambo, ordered the accusation to be remanded in Justice Sambo ordered the accused to be remanded in prison custody and fixed 3rd December for ruling on the bail application. And with this, we come to the end of today's news we've got for you. Tomorrow we'll be right here to give you some more information on what's trending, what's happening, what just happened. And until we come your way again, I'll say you stay safe, stay cool, stay happy. My name is Angel Lady, and this is Elimba Television. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification. Also follow us on Instagram, like our Facebook page, and be good.